question 2.
So this is something you've kind of touched on, but I think is a very big fear of mine, is what do you do if, what did you do and what does one do if you come out of the training and you haven't got an agent, you haven't been signed with one?
So like if you're self-representing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just take 2 for example. So I'm assuming your training will be enough to get you on Spotlight once you're in 3rd year. Yeah, exactly. So Spotlight's really important just because it is the industry standard for the bigger, more established jobs. Most agents won't want to sign you if you're not on Spotlight and not eligible for Spotlight. If you're eligible for Spotlight and you just can't afford it, then you can apply to an agency and be like, I'm not currently on Spotlight because of cost, but I'm from this accredited school and I can be on Spotlight with this accreditation, just because all of the agents submit you through Spotlight. So you need it. The important thing with when you're self-represented is get really good at submitting yourself. And the thing is with submissions, again, I have videos on this, but it's not about you saying, oh, I would love this opportunity and I would learn so much. It's a job application. They need someone to do this specific thing. We need any ethnicity, like slender build, medium height, male, strong dancer, good singer for this role, this character with casting types that fit your casting type, right? So you don't go being like, oh, I would love to work with your company. You go, I've been dancing for this long. I am this level in tap, jazz, ballet, blah, 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 blah. At drama school in my training, I played this role, which is similar to this role, blah, 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 blah. And then if you genuinely feel like I've been following your company for time and I actually do love your work, you can add like a little line at the end being like, I've been following your company for a while. I love what you do. I'd love to be considered.
If you're going to do that, make sure you cite the shows that you've seen.
Yes.
And actually say why. Because it's very easy to say, oh, I like your company. Your work affects me deeply. That's a very easy thing to put onto an email, and you can copy and paste that from everyone from Sadler's Wells to the Royal Court to whoever else. But if you want it to mean something, you need to tell them what work it is that particularly got to you, because then they at least know that you've seen their stuff.
In terms of like self-submissions, because obviously if you're self-represented, you need to submit yourself. Make sure you do your research, know who you're writing to. Casting directors get thousands and thousands of submissions, especially if on Spotlight, because there are some casting breakdowns that only agents see. So the ones that you, if you're an unrepresented actor, see, like everyone on Spotlight can see it, so they're gonna get thousands of applications. So research who you're writing to so you don't make a stupid mistake, because that's just a simple way they can just cut down the numbers. It's like, you don't know who you're writing to, so we're not gonna look at you. It sounds harsh, but they've got to bring those numbers down, because they've got to cut thousands of applicants into maybe 100 people to audition in a day for first round. Do you have anything to add while I'm thinking of what I was going to say?
Not really. The only thing I can really think of in terms of self-submissions is sometimes you need to be very aware of the show itself that you're applying for.
Don't apply for things you're not right for. It can be tempting, especially if you're like 6 months out, you still don't have an agent, and you haven't had any kind of job yet. Don't even matter if it's low pay, no pay, and you're like, well, you know, I can do this. If you know you're not right for it, just don't waste your own time, and then don't waste the casting director's time. Like if there's something where even in the character and everything, I was the perfect casting, but they needed an amazing dancer, there's no point me submitting myself for that, because I'm not. So if they need that, either they're going to look at my CV and be like, well, you haven't got dance on your CV, so I've just read your application for nothing. Or I get into the audition, it's a first call dance round, and they're going to be like, what are you doing here? And I'm going to feel like a fool because everyone's doing fouettes around me, and I'm like, well, I can just about do a single. Do you know what I mean? Pirouette. In case anyone didn't know what I meant. You're better off finding the roles that you are right for and putting your effort into those submissions rather than just scattergunning and getting people annoyed. In terms of finding an agent, it's kind of a similar thing. Do your research on agencies. Look at the actors or performers that you see in shows and like, or that you already admire. See who they're cast with. If they're cast with Curtis Brown, that might be a stretch, but there's no reason to not say, hey, I'm seeking representation. Here's my CV. This is where I trained. But like, look around. Don't just be like it's Curtis Brown or nothing. Remember that you have power. You can walk away, you can say no. And as much as the industry at large, especially when it comes to agents, push the narrative that as an actor you need an agent, yes, agents are incredibly useful. They have more contacts, they can get you into more rooms, but it's better to be unrepresented than have a bad agent, whether that's a scammy agent or just an agent that doesn't have your best interests at heart or wants to push you in the direction where they have contacts for and you actually want to go in a different direction. You don't need that. That's not helpful to your career. If an agent is trying to encourage you to do stuff you don't want to do, that's not a good business relationship.
No.
So,
and also shows you that whilst you probably could say this at any point, agents only make money when you're in work. But the fact of the matter is that they need to see you in work where you're going to do well rather than just work so they can meet their bottom line.
Yeah. And it's also like that, I think that's the sign of an agent that doesn't trust you, in the same way when agents are like, oh no, you can't write to casting directors. You should be writing to casting directors and introducing yourself, especially in your first few years out, so they know you exist and what
yes, that is,
you know, because
critically
there are so many people graduating into the industry, they're not going to know all of you, so you need to let them know you're out there. An agent who's like, no, you, by under no circumstances can you write to a casting director, even if it's just to follow up on something you know you've been submitted for. That's a sign of an agent that doesn't trust their actors. You need to have a trusting relationship with your agent. When you're unrepresented and you're not getting seen because you're new, and like, you can feel desperate and it can make you take whatever without thinking. Always think about a job that you're taking or an offer of representation, and try and think about it objectively of, is this the best career situation for me? Even if it's like, for where I am right now, yes, it is. That's fine, but you don't want to just be like making decisions out of desperation. You want to make informed decisions and being like, at this point, you know what, if it's like an agent where it's like, okay, they haven't really seen my work, but all of the people on their books have been kind of legit, and they did ask me to do a self-tape for them. They're not like my ideal agent, but I've been unrepresented for a year and I'm struggling. Maybe they'll open some doors, so yeah, I'll sign with them for a year and see how it goes. Do you know what I mean? That's a perfectly legit thing, but like, don't make decisions out of desperation when you're unrepresented.